I'm here today on December 5th, 2013. This is Erica Brown, and I'm interviewing Anthony
DeStefano.
DeStefano, my Midwestern accent. And he lives on 134 Hayden Row Street.
Right.
That's where we are.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
That's where we are. All right, Anthony. Do you go by Anthony or Tony?
Tony.
Tony.
Did you want more light? I got some more
This
there.
this sets it up, and it's just
okay.
perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, it's you look like you're on a set, a television set.
Hey.
Yeah, yeah. So Anthony, your son recommended you for the Hopkinton Oral History Project.
Big mouth.
Big. One of the reasons he was interested in sharing your story was that your parents were Italian immigrants.
Right.
One of 5 major families that came to town, like the Colellas, I think he mentioned.
We were the first, the Calalas and the Caffarellis. Those I remember. Anybody after that?
Yeah. So why don't you tell me about your boyhood? Were you born in Hopkinton?
No, I was born in Watertown, Mass. And at the age of 6, if I remember correctly, we moved out here to Hayden Row Street. This is 134. I don't remember the number. But down low Hayden Row, anyway. We lived there for a number of years.
What brought you out here from Watertown?
Dad thought he wanted to have a dairy farm or a farm, period. And we did. He had a barn there. He had cows and chickens and pigs and the whole run gauntlet. And it's right across, I don't know if you remember or know, where the Brown property was.
Okay.
We were across the street from there. We moved there and lived there for quite some time, and as I recall, at some point in time, we had a fire burned us out.
When you were young?
Pardon?
When you were young?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we went to Milford for about 6 or 8 months, and they rebuilt it. Then we came back, and we lived there. I think who's living there now? I don't really know.
But it's not a farm anymore.
No.
No.
Then my dad built a house on Chestnut Street, which they tore down not too long ago. As you go down there, the first road on the left, those beautiful homes in there, we had a home, the first one on the right, which they tore down about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And built a new, bigger one there. And that's where I was until I went in the service and so on, and I came back out. The bug caught me and met a lovely lady and got married and built this place.
Were your parents still here when
Yeah,
you lived here? Okay. Did you live close? So you were just down the road from
Oh,
them?
yeah.
Yeah.
Down Chestnut Street to here. I don't know if it's a mile, if that's far, I'm not sure.
How many siblings do you have?
I had 1 brother and 3 sisters,
Gotcha.
and then the last of the tribe.
Wow. Did they remain in Hopkinton?
Yes, they did, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, my older sister lived down in Chestnut Street. My brother lived next door. He lived in uptown, then he built a house next door. See, my sister Josephine was up here on the right-hand side. My sister Louise was up a little further on the right-hand side. So we're all in the immediate neighborhood, if you will.
Now, what did your dad do when he moved to Chestnut Street? He wasn't a farmer anymore. What?
No, he worked over at Draper
Okay.
Corporation in Hopedale.
And is that where you were working too?
Yeah, I put 35 years, 34, 35 years in there.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you started doing when you got out of the service?
Yes,
Gotcha.
Yeah, we have a friend of mine from New Jersey, from Pennsylvania. Met him in the service. We're very close. We bummed around, I guess you'd say, for a while. Then my mother said, "Hey, don't you think it's time for you guys to settle down?" So he went home, and I went to work on the Draper.
Oh, well, tell me about your childhood when you were living on the farm and you were across the street from the Browns.
Oh, well, we had cows and chickens and pigs. And
What's some of the trouble you got into?
trouble. What are you, a dreamer? No, I think we lived pretty much a straight and narrow.
Mm-hmm. What'd you do for fun?
Used to be a fellow lived down here, Billy Wright, one of the Wright family. Oh, we used to roll up in the evening. we'd roam around, and Jerry Balco was part of the group. Didn't have a hell of a lot to do. After you get through doing chores for the day, there wasn't too much time left. So we used to have, let's see, where is it now? Well, down there, they're storing logs anyways. Used to be a big field there. We used to get out there and we'd play baseball or football, whatever the season, if we had time. Not much else.
What'd you do in the wintertime?
Keep warm. I remember the old farmhouse had a big fireplace. It stoked that at night. You get up in the morning, you run like crazy to get in front of it to get dressed. And at the time, if I remember rightly, I think we had a well for water. You'd have to pop it up and put a big bucket on the stove to heat hot water.
Wow.
But we survived.
Mm-hmm. Did you guys ever leave Hopkinton, or were you mostly here?
No, we came from Watertown, we moved here, and we stayed here.
But I'm talking about like throughout the year, like on a regular daily basis. Where did your family go to get supplies or get everything?
Up either First National or the A&P uptown there.
Okay.
Yeah, Friday nights I remember they'd hook up the two-seated buggy, and we'd all scramble to get a ride uptown and do the grocery shopping and go home again. That was the highlight of the week.
Do you remember any trips going outside of Hopkinton, like into Boston, or?
No, had not lived in Ashland. That's on occasion we'd hook up the cart, buggy, and we'd ride down Chestnut Street, and then I don't know what the name of the street was. They lived in Ashland, and that was a big deal. Who was going to sit in front and who was going to sit in back? That's the same when we went shopping Friday or Saturday nights, I don't remember. Go uptown with the buggy and see who was going to sit where in the buggy. Big deal.
Did a lot of people go shopping on Friday and Saturday? Was that kind of a social event?
That was more or less traditional, yeah, I think.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So you saw other people out and about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, Jerry Long managed the First National store. I think there's an antique shop or something in there now. And Pinchy Smith had the A&P, which is on the corner of Walcott Street. I don't know what's there now. But those are the two main grocery stores in town.
Gotcha.
And then Dave's drugstore, that was up the street a little bit, if I remember rightly. That's about it, I guess, that was in town. Well, Woods had a little store there where part of the drugstore is today. No, they had a grocery store. Yeah, where the drugstore is today, part of the drugstore. And, big shading town.
Did you eventually get to drive on up there by yourself?
Oh, good Lord, no. Never with the horse and buggy. That was too dangerous.
Did you get a car eventually as a young man?
Eventually, I guess it was about 1937. My dad didn't drive, but my brother got his license. So that we went out and he bought a family car. A big old 37 maroon Pontiac. Wow. It was great. It was a nice car, I mean. And my brother used to be the chauffeur for the family. My dad didn't drive, my mother didn't drive, and at that point in time, neither did my three sisters. Of course, I was the youngest one, I didn't drive either. So everybody'd be out there every weekend, spit polish and shine the car.
What happened to the horse and buggy after you got the car?
It's a good question. I know we used to have horses to do the farm work. The buggy, I don't remember what happened to it. But we used the horses to plow and to cultivate and hay and do that kind of stuff. But we did have a buggy there, and as I mentioned, we'd get on Ashland to visit my aunt. That was a big trip.
And that would have been in the.
Oh, that'd be on the weekend.
In the 30s, in the 40s.
Oh, let's see. We moved here, what, 28? Yeah, I guess in the
Yeah.
late 30s.
Gotcha. Do you remember cars in town? Were there?
Yeah, the car that I remember mostly was Sadie Whalen down in, she used to live in College Rock. I believe that was the woman's name. She had an Overland something or other. But she wouldn't give anybody a ride. Oh, no. She'd be empty going up and she'd staring ahead. And if you were walking, she wouldn't even recognize you. Nobody could lose her car.
Did you notice any big changes in town when people moved from farming to other means of work and cars came and the roads were
Well,
paved? How'd the town change?
I don't know if there any drastic change. It was gradual, you know. Of course, the old treadmill up here was running, and a few people worked up there. And I think that's the only bit of industry we had in town, to my knowledge. Before my time, they tell me, they used to do a lot of shoes in Hopkinton, and a lot of families had little shops out in back that they'd go out and hand sew shoes and so on. I don't remember them. Yes, I do, one of them down there. But it was a farming community, I guess. You had to live somewhere, so we chose to live in Hopkinton.
Now tell me about school. Where'd you go to school?
Oh, yeah, sure. The Grange Hall down here, there's 4 grades in there, 1 through 4. Amy Phipps was the teacher, and she would spend time with each grade during the day. And then, I think in the 2nd grade or 3rd grade, Dolly Bent became the teacher. Amy Phipps moved up to the center school. And then at some point in time, Margaret Madigan, who became Mrs. Foley, she took over down there. And then after you get through with 4 grades down here, you went up to the city school, the center school.
The city school.
The city school. And then you went 5, 6, and 7, I think it was. And the 8th grade was up at the old brick high school.
Yep.
And your 4 years of high school. Yeah, grand old time.
So everybody in town went to one high school.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That was the only one still standing.
Yeah. Now I heard that the gym in the high school is on the top floor at the old high school. Was that?
Gee, I don't remember that.
Yeah?
No, it may have been. I don't remember.
Yeah. Did you have dances there?
I don't remember that
Remember
either.
that? Is
Oh,
that
no.
where you met your wife?
Oh, no, my wife was from out of town,
Oh, okay.
from Hopedale. I didn't meet her until I came home from the service and I worked over at Draper. And I met her over there. She was from Hopedale.
Now, when you went to the service, was it you and a couple of buddies decided to
Yeah.
do it?
Well, Harold Penthony and I joined the Marine Corps together. Jerry was going to, but I don't remember why he couldn't come with us. But Harold Penthony and I joined together, and for the first year or so, we stayed together through boot camp and various other things. Then we got split up, and he got into one outfit, and I got into another. And stayed with the Marine Corps all through the rest of the war. From Pagefield, Paris Island, no. Paris Island is, no. Went to boot camp in Paris Island, yeah. Then from there went to not Cherry Point, New River, advanced training. Then to Cherry Point, and according to your aptitude, they would send you in different places. Well, I guess I was smart enough I get in with the air wing. And, yeah, and then we moved back to Pagefield, Paris Island. Then I went to, they sent me to Pratt and Whitney in East Hartford, Connecticut for 2 months to supposedly get smartened up on the engines that were on the plane we used.
Mm-hmm.
And then back to where? Cherry Point, no, Pagefield. And from Pagefield, of course, we went to the West Coast and then out in the Pacific, various places.
Mm-hmm. Would you say most of the young boys your age from town wanted to join up?
Harold and I joined at the same time. Jerry was going, but something came up, and I don't know what happened. He didn't sign up at the same time as we did. In fact, Harold and I went through boot camp at New River and to Cherry Point. We didn't get split up till, Cherry Point. I went to Page Field, and he stayed there.
Gotcha.
And then we kind of lost track of each other until we ran into each other again in Okinawa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a good life.
How was the town different when you came back from the war?
Well, I started to progress a little bit. I mean, building a house here and there and so on. Didn't change a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
It was still great old Hopkinton, if you will.
Not a lot of newcomers during that time?
Not too many at that point in time, but as time went on, they gradually increased a little bit.
Yeah. What were some of the things, traditions that went on in town that you can think of? I know the Horribles Parade has been around for a while.
And of course, the marathon.
The marathon, yeah. What are some of the things you did during those big productions?
Everyday living, I guess you'd say, probably.
Did you go up to see the marathon?
Oh, sure, certainly.
Yeah, did you?
That was a big doing every year.
Yeah.
In fact, I can remember one year we went up and watched the race off in the snowbanks.
Wow. Uh-huh.
Yeah, that used to be quite a big thing in town. Well, it is now, it's much more so, but you'd go up there, there'd probably be a couple of hundred runners, if that many, and you didn't have the transportation. And there wouldn't be that many people at the starting line, but there would be. The town lived joyously and was grandiose for one day. Excuse me.
Did you ever run it?
I did it unofficially.
Gotcha. On a whim?
Were you dreaming?
Well, I figured you'd come back from the Marine Corps. You knew you could do it.
So Jerry Balker did run it, and he came in, I don't know, 60 or 70 or something like that. And Harold and I both started to run it, but we faded out. It was more or less ego, I guess.
Uh-huh.
It was an experience, anyways.
Speaking of the marathon, can you tell me about George Brown and how he influenced your life?
Oh, yeah, he used to live across the street from him. Yeah, he was a grand old guy. And, just about every show that was in the arena, we would always get a free pass to go in and see the show. Most shows. And
Because you lived across the street from him?
Pardon?
Did he? I didn't know he owned the theater or the.
No, he was general manager, president of Boston Garden Arena Corporation.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
So most of the shows that were in there, either through him or his son Walter, we would get passes to go to see the shows.
Yeah. What are some of the shows you went to go see?
Oh, the rodeo was always a must show. Then Evelyn Chandler, she was quite a skating champion. Sonia Henney. Then I think Walter had an indoor ski show where they sat up at the rafters and came down. I don't know, man, there must have been more. Yeah, the circus too. I don't know what else. It was great. You go in there and we get seats right, some of the best seats in the house.
Yeah.
Of course, he was the president and general manager of the Red Garden Arena Corporation. And part of his relatives lived there. The Cronins worked in there, I should say. And then his son Walter took over after the father died or left or still living, I'm not sure. But anyways, it was great while it lasted.
Yeah. That's fun. Anything? Your son was definitely called him your mentor. Was there anything you can remember in your young life that he did that just kind of?
That he did?
Yeah.
My son?
No, that George Brown did.
Oh.
David was calling him your mentor, and I was just wondering.
Well, I do know they used to have a couple of ponies that came out of the rodeo. The W.T. Johnson used to put on in the garden there. And on many occasion, he would come over and wake me up and say, "Come on, we're going riding." And we'd probably ride around the backwoods for an hour or so every now and then. And I know, if I remember rightly, one summer I had to wipe his car down every day, every other day. I don't remember. He gave me a big quarter. He was a grand old guy.
That's funny. So is that how you kind of made money as a kid around when doing chores for other people, or?
Yeah, we would do miscellaneous jobs with different mow lawns or something like that, because when we had time.
Yeah. Now, when your family wasn't into farming anymore, and you were in, say, high school, did you get a job around town, or just still
Let's see,
most?
yes, I did. Yeah, my brother and I, the Browns had Guernseys, registered show cattle. My brother and I used to milk the cows over there for them. I don't know, we must have got a big 50 cents a week or something like that. Yeah, I try to remember, that was about it. And then I worked for the Andrews that had the chickens and turkeys across the street from here. But yeah, and what else? Oh, I worked at Kenny's gas station for a couple of years before I went into service. That's where you get all the dirt.
That's where you got the dirt.
Sure. All the old times it's come in, you know. And I don't know. It was an exciting life. It was a good life. A lot of nice people in town. I don't remember getting in any real trouble in town either. That was a plus.
Yeah. So what made you stay?
But,
Yeah, wait. So you've kind of stayed here on after
Oh,
you
yeah,
retired, and what draws you to it still?
we moved from Watertown, made our home here. I guess you make your home where you think you like it. Here we are. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we lived across the street from the Browns down there, and then my dad bought some land on Chestnut Street. We built a house there, and they just tore it down 2 years ago and put up one of those monsters. We lived there quite a number of years. Well, I lived there until I got married, and then I built this.
Mm-hmm. And you've been here since you got married?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, after I got married, we built this. And here we are.
Now I noticed you had a put wood money here. Do you still have a little bit of a wood selling business?
Yeah, my son's got that there. He's got a whole mess of wood over there, and he brings over a pickup truck load every so often, stacks it across the street in piles. And people have been honest about it, to my knowledge. He's got none there now. And I'm not helping him because of my condition, but let him do it if he wants to, I don't. And people will pick it up, and they come over and drop the money in the envelope in the back door there. I don't think we've lost 1 or 2 piles at that.
Huh.
Yeah, people basically are honest. Keep out of trouble.
So what did you do with your family while you were living here? Did you ever go on some vacations? Where were your vacation spots? Or
Well, let's see, the wife and I, we used to go up to Winnipesaukee and the kids. Then we traveled out west took a couple of trips driving through the west. Those were the major ones, because Sandy Island was always right here nearby to go over to cool yourself off and so on.
now, what was that place?
North Pond, Sandy Island, never heard of it?
Oh, yeah, Sandy Island. Yeah, is that where a lot of people
Oh yeah, that
went
was
to
the
hang
town,
out?
hey.
Uh-huh.
Big doings there. Then we had the old quarry hole up on Granite Street. We used to go swimming up there too.
Yeah.
I can remember Doc Place used to say that was the purest water around.
So your kids could hang around and have good, clean fun too
Oh
around
yeah.
town.
Yeah, they never got in trouble that I'm aware of anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there they are, right? Pictures of them.
Oh.
The one on top is the oldest one. The one on this side is the middle one, and where's my son?
over on
Well,
the other side?
he's on the bottom on the right.
I'll take a picture of that later. Well, tell me about traditions. How did you, growing up in this, raising your family in this house, how did you guys do Thanksgiving, since we just finished with Thanksgiving?
Oh, we'd always gather my sisters or my parents' house, or here we always swapped around, always had a big feed, big family affair. That's used to be traditional. Coming this way, we had our own families, that changed a little bit, but years ago when we were younger, we'd always gather at somebody's house for Christmas and Thanksgiving. And I can always remember my mother, Christmas Eve, don't care where you're at as long as you're here. Of course, they had the table, a bountiful table set all night long with food on it.
And most of it was probably local food.
Well, local, and then, of course, the old Italian tradition with the fish and so on.
Where did you have to go to get that?
It's a hell of a good question. I think they used to gather with other people and go down and buy it, probably. I'm not sure. But you'd have a bunch of that. And I remember my dad had to have his eels.
I didn't know that was a part of the Italian tradition.
Yeah, they put them in the sink and they'd clean them and the things would be squishing. And
Yeah, you got to figure where they got those. They did have to.
did they catch them out in the field or they killed them on the
No, did your being Italian immigrants? Did your family, your parents get together with other Italian immigrants in town?
Yeah, they were friendly with the Colellos and the Caffarellis. That was the only other two Italian families in town.
Yeah.
I don't know, we were one or two, first or second family in town, but I know these were the three prominent Italian families in town.
Now, was that it's today strange to think about, families being distinguished by being Italian, because we're so much more of a melting pot. Did that come with a high standing or a stigma, or did you were you called out for being an Italian?
Oh, there were certain people that made mockery of you, but you don't have a thick skin, and they'd be, what should I say, singled out. They'd get the word eventually, one way or another.
Was there a certain church that your family went to growing up?
Yeah, the Roman Catholic Church uptown, St. John's.
Gotcha. Is that where you raised your family too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You have any stories of any of the priests? Any special moments that you can think of?
No. The only thing that I know, and at least I think it's true today too, the gentleman by the name of Father Ryan, he's the one that was involved in building the church. In fact, they tell me his remains are under the altar up there. I don't know that. Took a tumble or something or other. But that's where it was. That church is pretty damn old, I guess. I don't know how many years, but it is old.
Yeah. I think it was one of the first, predominant buildings in town.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know the old Congregational Church, that was taken down during the hurricane of '38. I guess it was the only, to my knowledge, the only two churches in town were the Congregational and St. John's at that point in time.
Do you remember anything else about the hurricane of '38?
Yeah, I remember Billy Wright and I he was down at the house with him, and it ain't blow, and we're standing in the big old barn, and the wind was howling and blowing and trees coming down and so on. And I said to Bill, let's get out of here. He said, that's not good. Well, just as we closed the door, the roof on the barn just peeled open like a big hinge.
Oh my gosh. What did you do then?
Went like hell. No, we couldn't do too much. I mean, as long as we got away from there. And of course, the old trees were coming down all over the place. And of course, traffic came to a standstill. My sisters, one of them worked at Dennis, and two of them worked at Dennis, and one worked at Telecron. They eventually got home, but there were trees down all over the place. And I remember Billy Wright and I, we'd look, and there's a tree. Oh, look at that one's coming down. Oh, look at that one's coming down. Oh, it was a mess.
Wow. And so there was a lot of destruction that led to some new buildings and buildings being
Oh, yeah,
taken
yeah.
down. Interesting.
No, I remember Hayden Row used to have maple trees lined up on either side. And when you drove it in summer, spring, fall, you think you're driving through a tunnel.
Hmm.
And of course, the hurricane thinned them out a little bit.
Wow. What about the fire at your farm? How old were you when that happened?
Oh, hell, I think I was only 7 or 8 years old.
Okay. Oh, do you remember any of it?
I remember the old house got beat up quite a bit, and then we moved to Milford for a few months. We rented a place over there.
How did you get out? Were you home when the fire started?
I think it was late in the afternoon or early afternoon when it broke out back of the kitchen stove.
Mm. So nobody got hurt?
No,
Yeah. Did your parents lose a lot of,
I don't
memories,
remember.
or-
I'm sure they lost some of their contents, but I don't.
You don't remember it? Yeah, 7 years old. I can't remember 7. Huh. Were there any other major storms, since we're on storms?
Storms?
Yeah, hurricanes or...
Well, that was bad enough.
Yeah, that one was bad.
Oh, I think we had some. Of course, that storm thinned out all the weak ones. I think we did have some after that, but of no consequence. That was the first one. And,
Did anybody...
excuse me.
I don't know if were there casualties in that storm?
I honestly don't remember. I'm sure there were at different
Yeah.
places, but I don't remember.
Yeah, in Hopkinton. Okay. Let's see. Those were my main questions. Can you think of any stories you'd want to share?
No, mine was a pretty dull life.
Yeah, traveling around the world and fighting in a war is not dull.
Well, that was an experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Made a lot of good friends.
That's good. Well, I thank you for your time. And,
Well,
I
it
think
was a pleasure.
this has been great.
I made the headlines. Oh, not yet. I got to go to publication yet.
Yeah. We got to hand it over to the geek nerds now that know what to do with this. All right. Well, so this is Erica Brown, and I'm interviewing Tony, and we're at his house on December 5th, 2013. Yeah,
134
and we're
Hayden
at
Row.
134 Hayden Row. We forgot to talk about where my neighborhood over there on Hayden Row, that used to be like a big farm, wasn't it?
Hayden Row, that was the main drag.
Yeah, and so off
Between
there,
Milford and Hopkinton, everything on that side of it was all woods.
Oh, just woods. Oh, I'd always thought that my house had been on an old farm over
I
on
don't
Eastfield.
know the exact location here. Because Chestnut Street used to be a gravel road. And then as you're going down Chestnut Street, of course, on the left-hand side was all woods. Those where you're living now, that was all undeveloped.
Okay.
And I don't know who did the developing in there, but I guess there were 2 or 3 different people who went in there and built homes and so on. Because it was swampy and woody. And I know part of that land belonged to Charlie Parker, who's no longer there. And I forget who lives in the house on the corner of Hayden Row and Chestnut Street. Used to be Charlie Parker's.
Okay.
And he had a few cows and a few chickens. And then down the back was all woods. And you're going down Chestnut Street, the left hand, well, both the left and right hand side. There were woods on both sides. And I don't know how or who did the developing on the left hand side, but they got the road up in there, whatever the name of it, their Heights, is that part of it?
Yeah.
That got developed, and then of course progressively they kept extending it, and the woods are just about gone. There's all houses in there now.
Yeah.
On the right-hand side of Chestnut Street, that never did materialize. There's one house, no, there's 2 or 3 houses beyond where Charlie Parker used to live. Then there's one that sits way back. And then there's one big yellow one that sits there. And I don't know what the name of the other guy is. He got a lot of equipment in his yard. And then it used to be all woods. No, incidentally, this might interest you. At Cold Spring Farm, down at the intersection of Chestnut Street and Ash Street, used to be Cold Spring Farm. and a woman by the name of Eleanor Cole owned it. There was a big red barn down there, and she used to own and stable riding horses. And during the Depression, I think that was a period of time, she let anybody in there to cut wood, I think it was 100 feet back from the road. As long as they burned the brush, they could have the wood. Charitable affair. And they had some beautiful horses there, but the barn is gone, of course, now.
Right.
And down there on the left-hand side, there's all houses in there. So what's left of the farm, I don't know, but I guess not an awful lot. But that was all wilderness down through there. No more.
No more. So you were pretty young during the Depression, but you do remember that. Was there any other, like, since the town was so kind of isolated, was it affected?
No, I guess most of it was barren land, or you call it farmland or woodland and so on. That I remember that. She used to let them go in there and cut wood and so on. And of course that's all been developed now. And then on the corner of Ash Street used to be Safaro and Arena's slaughterhouse. I guess the slaughterhouse is still there, but it's no longer slaughter. There's cut up and prepared meats now.
Okay.
That's been there a long time. No, I know down at Cold Spring Farm they used to have all kinds of horse meats and trots and that kind of stuff. Beautiful looking animals too.
Fun. Were you in? Did you like horses? I know you rode
Oh,
them with.
they're a creature to have around.
Yeah. But you never rode in the rodeo or anything.
Oh,
did
no,
you?
no. No, to me a good horse was an animal to have on the farm so you could plow and cultivate and haul your wood out of the woods.
Sounds good. All right, now I'm going to turn it off.
Now who?
Now I'll turn it off.
Okay.
But this happens a lot. You turn it off,
Yeah.
and then a good story pops up.
Yeah.